Halfway through the night, Ethan received an order for adult novelty items. The downstairs door is open. The items are for Unit 1, Apartment 701. Ethan checked the phone order and saw Olivia's picture. He tentatively asked, "Is that you at home?" "Yes." "Hurry up and bring it. We are just standing here, waiting to get started." Ethan was dumbfounded. In that voice message, Ethan heard Olivia's ambiguous, pleading, "Daddy," gently. After hanging up, Ethan opened the order details. Staring at the blush-inducing product names, Ethan's hands trembled involuntarily. Just then, Ethan's phone notification sound chimed. It was Olivia's message. "Honey, be careful, delivering food delivery. What time are you coming home tonight?" Looking at Olivia's message, Ethan felt his head was smoking. Before, Ethan thought she was worried about him, but it turned out she had another agenda. Ethan quickly replied, "Lots of orders tonight, won't be back until dawn." Less than a minute later, Ethan received Olivia's reply, "Then I'll go to bed first. Good night." Ethan rode his electric scooter to downstairs from my building. Looking up at the bedroom window, it was brightly lit. Soon, Ethan saw two entangled figures. Clearly, they were getting a thrill in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. Ethan's temples throbbed. Grabbing the bag of adult novelty items, Ethan ran to the elevator. After pressing the elevator up button, Ethan opened the camera, swiped left to video function, ready to record, but legs were trembling uncontrollably. After 3 years of marriage, Olivia claimed she was reserved. Every time Ethan wanted to be intimate with her, she was very shy. She even acted as if she wanted a layer of plastic wrap between their lips when they kissed, though was deprived. Ethan was also relieved. In today's society, it's rare to find women with such strict boundaries these days. So, Ethan respected her and resolved it myself in the bathroom every time. Last year, the company had layoffs. Ethan was laid off, including his entire business line. To make ends meet, Ethan started delivering food delivery. Olivia was an employee at an e-commerce company, going to work during the day. Ethan spent pitifully little time with her each day. To appease her, Ethan gave her most of the money Ethan earned. Even though her expenses had been growing recently, Ethan never questioned it. Watching the elevator numbers slowly rise, Ethan chuckled self-deprecatingly. Only then did Ethan realize that there had been signs all along. Many revealing clothes had appeared in the closet at home, but Ethan had never seen her wear them. Once, in the washing machine, Ethan even found underwear with a cigarette butt. She explained to Ethan that it was silk underwear. The cigarette butt was there because the company was selecting products recently. She pressed the cigarette butt onto it to check the flame's reaction to determine if the silk was genuine. Ethan believed her, but thinking about it now, Ethan could only scold himself for being foolish. The elevator door opened on the 7th floor, and before Ethan could step out, Doris, the cleaning lady in the hallway, walked in, muttering angrily, "Who is it? Throwing a bloody bedsheet in the hallway again. This is several times this month. Do they have too much money to burn?" Ethan stopped, lowering his head to glance into the trash bag Doris held. A chill ran down Ethan's entire back. Doris said the person throwing the bedsheet had too much money and was burning it. Ethan felt that was wrong. It should be that they had too much money and had become promiscuous. The bedsheet in the trash bag was one Olivia had just bought 2 days ago. Ethan remembered asking her when Ethan found several identical sets of bedsheets at home. She awkwardly explained to Ethan, "The mall had a buy one get 3 free sale, so I bought enough for the whole year." Ethan guessed Olivia might particularly like that set of bedsheets, so she bought several. Ethan never imagined it would be like this. Ethan, holding the package containing adult novelty items and the bloody bedsheet, stormed towards the front door. Ethan's phone suddenly rang wildly in his pocket. Ethan stopped and took it out. It was Chloe calling. Chloe's crying could be heard through the phone. "Chloe, what's wrong?" Ethan's heart suddenly became frantic. "Brother, hurry to the hospital. Eleanor had a sudden heart attack." Hearing's words, Ethan froze in place. Moments later, Ethan staggered and rushed to the elevator. Ethan rode furiously the whole way, his mind filled with Chloe's crying. At this moment, Ethan had forgotten that Olivia was being intimate with another man. When arrived at the hospital, Chloe was crying like a baby outside the emergency. She told Ethan that Eleanor had been given a critical illness notice. 5 minutes later, the doctor came out and told them that Eleanor was temporarily out of danger, afterwards sent to the intensive unit, ICU, since relatives couldn't accompany her. Chloe asked Ethan to go back. The weight lifted from Ethan's heart. and then Ethan remembered Olivia's betrayal. Ethan rushed home on his electric scooter. Just as a man walked out of the building, he had a cigarette dangling from his mouth, and squinting, he called out to Ethan, "Food delivery guy." Ethan saw clear fingernail scratches on his neck. Anne's bank account had a 3-digit nail salon expense just the day before. Ethan sat on the electric scooter. The scooter handlebars almost twisted off in Ethan's grip. Ethan looked at him. "Your woman's got some strength, huh?" The man chuckled, that laugh piercing Ethan's eardrums. "Buddy, the bitch knows how to move. I almost died on her tonight." Rage spread from Ethan's chest to his head. Ethan's face was flushed with anger. "Are you two married or just dating?" The man looked at Ethan with contempt. "A married woman, one of those. You haven't played with that type." In that second, Ethan heard the sound of his back molars grinding, but still forced a smile and said, "Never played with that type." He exhaled a puff of smoke, satiated. "We are neither married nor dating. Buddy, you know, the grass is always greener on the other side. What's more, her figure was incredible, the kind that could make heads turn, that kind of woman, you wouldn't find one in 10,000. You haven't tasted that, have you?" Ethan looked at him coldly. "Do you come often?" "Her husband isn't home. 3 to 4 times a week. She says her husband delivers food delivery until midnight." Ethan's hand trembled, pressing the electric scooter horn, making a beep sound. Olivia was really something, frequently having affairs with other men at home. The man flicked his cigarette butt. A spark landed on Ethan's hand, and Ethan flinched, moving his hand away. "Buddy, are you so tired from food delivery that you've lost your mind?" In that moment of eye contact, Ethan wished Ethan could take the cigarette butt from his hand, and poke out both of his eyes. As the man left, he patted Ethan's shoulder and whispered in Ethan's ear, "Buddy, I'll take you sometime. We can do group stuff. I guarantee you'll be hooked." Ethan's chest heaved violently. Ethan took a deep breath, squinting at his retreating back. Suddenly, Ethan wondered how Ethan could commit the perfect crime against such a scumbag and a shameless woman. Ethan didn't follow him. Instead, to figure things out, Ethan decided to go home first. When opened the door, Olivia had just walked out of the bathroom. Her expression was very surprised, as if she had seen a ghost when she saw Ethan. "Honey, why are you back? Didn't you say you had a lot of orders tonight?" Ethan didn't answer her. Instead, Ethan's gaze fell on her neck and collarbone. She seemed to realize something, and quickly scratched the reddened areas on her neck and collarbone a few more times with her hand. She awkwardly explained, "I've been allergic recently. It turns red if I touch it." Ethan threw the adult novelty items package on the table. "Got this at the door. What did you buy? Why is it so tightly wrapped?" Olivia instantly panicked. She checked the package, confirmed there were no signs of it being opened, then stammered an explanation. "It's her period. This must be the food delivery vendor's careful packaging." Ethan raised an eyebrow, said nothing, and walked straight into the bedroom. Olivia quickly followed. "Honey, are you going to sleep?" Ethan glanced at the bedsheet. Ethan couldn't see anything unusual. It must have been recently changed, but could still smell an unfamiliar cologne scent in the room. Ethan's stomach churned, and images of Olivia being intimate with that man constantly flashed in Ethan's mind, but didn't want to tip them off yet. "Eleanor had a sudden heart attack and was hospitalized. I came back to grab some things, and then I'm going to the hospital." Olivia sighed in relief, then feigned a shocked expression. "Oh, what happened to Eleanor? Is it serious?" A feeling of disgust welled up in Ethan. Every word and action of Olivia's at that moment made Ethan nauseous. Ethan replied coldly, "She's temporarily fine." Ethan went into the bathroom and poured cold water from head to toe. The electric shaver and face wash had clearly been used by someone else. Ethan threw them directly into the trash can. When returned to the living room, Olivia had already changed, and was sitting on the sofa, waiting for Ethan. "Honey, I'll go to the hospital to see Eleanor with you." Ethan frowned slightly. These actions of Olivia's would appear to outsiders as those of a good wife and loving mother. If hadn't received that adult novelty items order today, Ethan would still be in the dark. "I just got a message from Chloe. She said she'll take care of Eleanor, and we don't need to go." Olivia looked at Ethan confusedly, and then pointed to the phone on the coffee table. "But your phone has been here the whole time." Ethan picked up the phone and walked into the study. Olivia's voice came from behind him. "Honey, aren't you sleeping in the bedroom?" "No, I have to deliver orders early tomorrow morning. I'm afraid I'll wake you." In truth, Ethan could no longer share a bed with Olivia, especially since that bed still carried the scent of another man. Just thinking about it made Ethan feel uncomfortable. and nauseated all over. Ethan tossed and turned that night and went to the hospital in the morning with dark circles under his eyes. Olivia was still sleeping when Ethan left. Eleanor had been transferred from the intensive unit, ICU, to a regular ward. Ethan, you and Olivia have been married for 3 years. It's time to think about having a child. Eleanor had just woken up and immediately started pressuring them to have a baby. Ethan's mouth twitched slightly. If we're pregnant now, Ethan probably wouldn't even know who the child's biological father was. After leaving the hospital room, Ethan found a corner of the hospital flower bed, squatted down, and silently smoked. Ethan's legs went numb. Just as Ethan was about to stand up to catch his breath, Ethan saw that man again. He was with a woman, their heads pressed together, as if they wanted to become conjoined twins. They hadn't gotten enough rest at night, and were still at it during the day. Ethan grabbed a brick from the hospital flower bed, ready to charge, when Ethan suddenly realized the woman wasn't Olivia. It was a hospital nurse, who looked after Eleanor's hospital room. The two reluctantly finished their kiss at the hospital entrance. Then the man turned and walked towards Ethan. Buddy, it's you again. We've run into each other twice in less than a day. What a coincidence. Yes, you slept with my wife. How could it not be a coincidence? Ethan forced a smile. Yeah, what a coincidence. While smoking at the hospital entrance, Ethan chatted idly with the man. Ethan learned his name was Jason. He worked at a pharmaceutical company. His wife was a nurse who often worked night shifts. That's why he could frequently come out at night to have an affair with Olivia. Have you known that woman from last night for a long time? Aren't you afraid your wife will find out? Jason suddenly leaned closer to Ethan and whispered, she came to find me on our wedding night. My wife is a pushover, obedient and dutiful. How could she ever suspect me? Through his glasses frame, Ethan saw Jason's smug face. He hadn't even noticed the cigarette had burned down to his fingers. Only then did Ethan recall that on Ethan's wedding night, Ethan had fallen asleep after getting drunk. When woke up, Olivia was in the kitchen making ham-over soup for Ethan, but her walking posture was limping, and her face had an abnormal flush. She was truly a good wife, betraying our marriage on our wedding night. No wonder after marriage she always acted reserved with Ethan. It turned out her promiscuous and manipulative side was shown entirely to another man. In the hospital room, Sarah, Jason's wife, was taking Eleanor's blood pressure. Just then, Olivia walked in. Ethan, what are you looking at? Ethan's gaze had been fixed on Sarah. Nothing. Why are you here? Ethan withdrew his gaze and looked at Olivia. I came to see Eleanor. Olivia was still playing the role of a good daughter-in-law. Ethan took Olivia home, specifically telling her Ethan would be delivering food delivery all night, then returned to the hospital and found Sarah. Ethan told her about the affair. Shock and anger instantly filled her eyes. Around 10 at night, Ethan and Sarah arrived downstairs from our apartment complex. Through the window, Ethan saw 2 figures moving inside the apartment. Ethan turned to Sarah to confirm, I was right, wasn't I? There was a hint of fear in her eyes that Ethan hadn't noticed before. Ethan held up his phone, opened the video function, and took her upstairs. Ethan gently opened the door. After entering the apartment, Sarah suddenly grabbed Ethan's hand. She looked very nervous, and Ethan gave her a reassuring look. Inside, the entire apartment was dark. Ethan tried to turn on the switch, but found that the power was out in the room. Just then, Ethan heard faint talking outside the door. Before could react, Sarah, who was standing next to Ethan, pushed Ethan to the ground. Ethan's body slammed violently into the living room sofa. Before could brace himself with his hands. A figure covered Ethan in the darkness. Sarah unbuttoned her clothes, messed up her hair, and started screaming loudly, no. You beast, what do you want to do? Grievance and tears instantly welled up on her face, and Ethan was completely bewildered. The lights in the apartment suddenly came on, the front door burst open, and Olivia and Linda rushed out. Ethan, how could you? I'm not dead yet. Olivia's cries and accusations flooded in, and the apartment instantly filled with people. At that moment, Ethan even saw Jason, a cunning smile on his face, though was crying. The corners of her mouth were slightly turned up. Undoubtedly, Ethan had been set up. A large group of people gathered, discussing how to handle the situation. Ethan remained silent, wondering when Olivia and Jason had discovered Ethan's suspicions, and why Sarah had suddenly switched sides. To prove Ethan's innocence, Ethan ran to the bedroom to get the bloody bedsheet, but the bedsheet Ethan had clearly put in the suitcase next to the closet was gone. Ethan glanced at Olivia, who with her back to everyone, gave Ethan a thumbs down gesture. At that moment, Ethan knew that the evidence chain for Olivia's infidelity was broken. Ethan had no concrete evidence to prove her affair with Jason, under pressure from everyone. Ethan had to apologize to Sarah. She averted her gaze, nodded, and left in a hurry. Ethan, no wonder you wouldn't sleep in the bedroom. You had someone else outside. You even brought her home. How could you do this to me? Olivia appeared to be crying heartbrokenly, but there wasn't a single tear. Linda, with her narrowed, triangular eyes, sighed and shook her head at Ethan. You seemed so honest usually. I never thought you'd be such an animal. Then demanded that Ethan's name be removed from the property deed. She also demanded that all savings in the family be put under her name. Everyone harassed Ethan relentlessly. United against me. Ethan nodded, agreeing temporarily to calm the situation. The next day, only Ethan and Olivia were left at home. Ethan, Jason and I aren't stupid. Pride, triumph, and mockery were fully displayed on her face. Good. She finally stopped pretending in front of Ethan. Olivia, why did you betray me? Ethan, you are too boring. Jason can give me excitement. He knows my pleasure points. Originally, if you had just pretended not to know anything, you could have peacefully remained my husband in name only. Ethan froze in place. Ethan never expected her to be so shameless. Before leaving, she looked back at Ethan. Come with me this weekend to change the property deed. Then, she picked up her bag and strutted out the door. Ethan took out his phone, opened the hidden camera app, and rewatched last night's video and those conversations. No one expected that the cameras installed in the living room and bedroom ceiling lights the night before would come in handy. However, the bloody bedsheet was gone, and Ethan still had no ironclad evidence of Olivia's infidelity. What puzzled Ethan most was Sarah. Her husband cheated, and instead of retaliating, she became his accomplice. Ethan went to the hospital to find her, but her colleagues said she had resigned. Ethan went to her house to find her, but the gate guard said she had left with a suitcase. Helplessly, Ethan found out her hometown address. After 2 days and 2 nights on a long-distance bus, Ethan arrived at the small rural town where Sarah was born. As soon as Ethan entered the village, Ethan saw her helping an old man carry something. Ethan blocked her path. She bit her lip, tears welling in her eyes, and said something to the old man in a language Ethan didn't understand. Watching the old man's retreating back, Ethan vaguely realized that she didn't want her family involved in her affairs. We agreed. Why did you suddenly change your mind? She dared not look up at Ethan, only staring at the dust-covered shoes. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. It turned out Sarah was the 3rd child in her family. Besides her 2 older sisters, she also had 3 younger brothers to care for. To support her 3 brothers' education, she took 100,000 yuan as money from her marriage from Jason when they got married. And this money had always been the root of the unequal power dynamic between her and him. She always knew Jason was a man who couldn't control his lower impulses, but every time she argued with him, he would bring up the money from her marriage, repeatedly crushing her self-esteem. After finding out he cheated again, she angrily confronted him, and also told him what Ethan knew. Jason proposed that if she helped him get through this ordeal, the issue of the money from her marriage would be forgotten. But unexpectedly, after using her, Jason went back on his word. In a fit of anger, she resigned from her job and returned to her hometown. Ethan didn't feel much sympathy for her experience, because everyone has their own consequences. After returning, Ethan's heart remained unsettled. Ethan knew that to completely sever ties with Olivia, Ethan had to obtain conclusive evidence of her infidelity. But where had they hidden that bloody bedsheet? To avoid suspicion, she would definitely not meet Jason during this time, let alone have an affair. So, all Ethan could do was wait. One evening, Ethan returned home from delivering food delivery, and Olivia was showering in the bathroom. Ethan glimpsed her phone light up. The screen displayed the package locker at the complex. The old part is a misleading name, referring to Jason, not a separate person. Ethan's right eyelid twitched, because had just been to the package locker earlier that day. There was no one named Juan there at all. Ethan secretly unlocked her phone. Sure enough, this, old, was not from Ethan's apartment complex, but the neighboring one. But Ethan didn't own property there. Why did the delivery text message show that Olivia had 4 or 5 packages placed outside a rental apartment in the neighboring complex? To uncover the truth, Ethan took a week off. Ethan handed over his food delivery job to someone else, and began to follow Olivia and Jason. Ethan found that every morning they would leave an hour early for work, and their destination was always the same. Watching them walk hand in hand into the room, Ethan's fists clenched tightly. After finding their affair location, Ethan drove to Olivia's office building. In his food delivery thermal bag was a bouquet of vibrant roses. As soon as Ethan saw Olivia and her colleagues come out, Ethan approached her with the flowers. "Honey, dinner's ready at home. I came to pick you up." Passers-by looked at her with envy, but she looked at Ethan warily. "What do you want?" Ethan continued to smile, even thoughtfully adjusting her collar. Ethan was just learning from her, disguising himself as a good husband. After picking her up a few times like this, she began to lower her guard. Finally, Ethan captured a video of them kissing in the rental apartment hallway, and a shot of Jason putting his hand inside Olivia's clothes. With this, Ethan still felt it wasn't enough. Ethan needed to find a way to catch them red-handed with more solid evidence. Ethan remembered what Jason had said that day. "Buddy, it'll take you some time. We can do group stuff." Ethan felt disgusted but also secretly anticipated that if they really did group activities, it would be an excellent opportunity. The opportunity came quickly. That day, Ethan was staking out the hallway as usual and saw Olivia and Jason return. And this time, Jason wasn't alone. Ethan climbed out the window, grabbed the drainpipe, and jumped onto the rental apartment's balcony. Under the cover of the curtains, Ethan successfully snuck into the bedroom and hid in the closet. Soon, they were rolling around on the bed. Ethan, through the closet door crack, saw them taking out various props and heard several whipping sounds. Ethan's stomach churned, and Ethan almost threw up, but held back the nausea, raised his phone, aimed at the entangled bodies on the bed, and pressed the record button. Just then, there was a commotion in the living room. This was because Ethan had earlier posted a notice downstairs, saying there was an X-rated performance in this bedroom, and inviting neighbors to gather to watch. Unexpectedly, quite a few curious people actually came. People broke through the door and swarmed into the bedroom. "Oh my goodness. Cover the children's eyes. The scene before us is truly an eyesore. Call the police. Our apartment complex absolutely cannot tolerate such illegal activities. The security here is bad. How is property management handling this? Now our entire complex is going to be famous." Faced with everyone's accusations, the three of them couldn't argue or deny, and could only hurriedly put on their clothes and fled. Ethan emerged from the closet, blending into the crowd. Ethan followed behind them, holding his phone, chasing them for 2 blocks until they jumped into a car and sped away. That night, Ethan uploaded the secretly recorded video anonymously to major forums and social media platforms. The video of marital infidelity quickly spread like wildfire. Although pixelated, the neighbors nearby immediately recognized the couple in the video. The incident became public knowledge, and both sets of parents found out. Ethan returned home after delivering food delivery, opened the door, and found Linda and Richard sitting on the sofa, while Olivia knelt on the ground with her head down. "What's going on?" Linda gently kicked Olivia with her foot. "Hurry up and apologize to Ethan." "Honey, I'm sorry. I promise I'll never see Jason again. Can you forgive me? We can still be like before." Olivia looked at Ethan with teary eyes, feigning innocence and helplessness. But this didn't move Ethan. Instead, it made Ethan even more disgusted. "Yes, Ethan, Olivia knows she made a mistake. Besides, didn't you also do something wrong to Olivia last time? That evens things out." Linda's words struck Ethan as ridiculous. She was clearly biased towards her daughter. Ethan poured himself a glass of water and took a sip. "I never did anything wrong to her. She deliberately set me up that time." Ethan explained the whole story. Olivia's face instantly turned pale, completely drained of color. Linda and Richard were half believing, half doubting Ethan's words, unwilling to believe their daughter would do such a thing. "Ethan, is there some misunderstanding?" "That's right. My daughter has always been well behaved. She wouldn't do something like that." Initially, Linda and Richard still tried to protect their daughter, feeling that Ethan shouldn't be airing our dirty laundry, until played all the secretly recorded videos and photos in front of them. Richard trembled with anger, vowing to disown his daughter. Linda cried bitterly, holding Ethan, saying her daughter had no upbringing and had wronged Ethan. Ethan's parents were also shocked at first. In their eyes, their daughter-in-law had always been a virtuous and dignified wife. When they learned that Ethan's marriage was a marriage in name only, they first scolded Ethan for being useless, couldn't even control my own wife. But when they saw the ironclad evidence of the infidelity, they cried with heartache, "Son, this marriage can't continue. You should divorce Olivia. We don't blame you." The old couple patted Ethan's shoulder to comfort him. Seeing she couldn't hide it anymore, Olivia stopped pretending. She asked for a divorce and demanded that Ethan leave with nothing, leaving the house, car, and savings to her. She threatened that if Ethan didn't agree, she would sue Ethan for invasion of privacy and ruin her reputation. Ethan almost laughed at her shamelessness. Ethan told Olivia that the judge would decide who invaded whose privacy. Ethan took out the bloody bedsheet, and the DNA test report on it clearly showed Jason's name. Only then did Olivia realize that the bedsheet she had hidden in the discarded washing machine, and hadn't had time to destroy, had been discovered by Ethan. She instantly became like a deflated balloon, unable to even cry. Finally, with both sets of parents as witnesses, she agreed to divorce Ethan and vanish from my life forever. This marital infidelity case caused a huge uproar online. Many netizens supported Ethan, praising Ethan as a true champion for daring to defend his dignity. Ethan's handling of the situation was even called Ethan's divorce by netizens. Some people with marital problems sought Ethan out for advice and strategies. Ethan simply resigned from his food delivery job and became a full-time relationship blogger. As someone who had been through it, Ethan started relationship and divorce counseling courses online. Ethan personally taught netizens how to manage relationships and how to sever emotional ties. Ethan's livestream was packed every night, with followers from all over the country. As his business grew, Ethan registered his own relationship counseling firm. Ethan hired several lawyers and psychological counselors specifically to serve people experiencing marital crises. Ethan also established a foundation to support vulnerable groups, especially women who were in distress due to relationship scams. Ethan often went to K-12 schools to teach students relationship safety awareness, reminding them to guard against relationship scams. Olivia and Jason were both fired from their companies after the video spread. The two had originally planned to go off together, but they had a falling out over petty arguments. It turned out Olivia had secretly sold a necklace Jason gave her, infuriating Jason, who grabbed a beer bottle and smashed it over her head. Olivia was knocked unconscious, and by the time neighbors found her, she had been in a coma for nearly 24 hours. She was rushed to the hospital and spent 3 days and 3 nights in emergency rescue before her life was saved. But her memory suffered severe memory trauma, and she was almost unable to care for herself. Jason was sentenced to 5 years in prison for intentional assault. His wife decisively cut ties with him. Life in prison was not easy. He suffered much bullying, and by the time he was released, he was a frail and old man. Ethan sometimes visits Olivia, but she no longer recognizes Ethan. Each time, Ethan brings her some fruits and snacks, feeds her, and takes her for a walk and chat. Although her memory is hazy, she will simply smile whenever Ethan is by her side. Ethan no longer hates Olivia. Ethan feels that she and Jason were slaves to their desires. Blinded by their desires, they hurt others and ultimately destroyed themselves, and learned a lesson from this failed marriage, re-examining the meaning of life. Ethan is grateful for this experience that helped Ethan grow and understand the true meaning of love and responsibility.